Welcome
to the
Astro Vibe Show,
where you come to
Vibe with the Tribe.
Alright, so we are back, League friends and fans and community and all that jazz. We are doing the story of League of Legends. We are watching NECRIT'S video again. If you guys saw our video before, we watched the real, what is the video
Runeterra,
called?
MMO.
The MMO is done, yeah. Shout out to NECRIT again.
Hey man, you doing your thing, man.
Yeah, definitely taught us a lot in that, about the world and the regions and stuff like that. And that's something we all were really curious about. So
I learned a lot.
Yeah, we just did a video watching all the clips of Arcane Season 2, so you can go and check that out. We hadn't watched any of them, and we were prepping to watch Arcane Season 2, and everyone's super excited. It drops in November. So we've just been building up this much knowledge so we can go into that knowing a bunch of shit.
It's my birthday month, too.
You would slide that in.
Throw that in there real quick.
Honestly, I'm just excited. I want to see what's going on.
Nah, just with the little bit of information that I have now, looking at these videos would be a little bit more understandable. I have a little bit more knowledge of what's going on, so yeah, it'll help me out rate the numbers a little bit better and stuff like that. So
yeah, and again, this might actually be the last NECRIT explanation video that we watch, just so we can get like enough knowledge when we go back into the cinematics and watch stuff. We will have, just a good solid foundation of knowledge. Not to mention, I acquired some books. I know I brought this up a little while ago. I actually got the Ash graphic novel, which is pretty fire. It talks about failure and talks about the origins. And I'm not going to ruin it for you guys if you guys want to read this, you know what I mean? But it's a pretty solid read. Definitely was comparing it to some of the stuff that we write. And then I also got this Realms of Runeterra.
hey, man.
And this is a crazy book, hardcover. It goes into all the lore and depth. It's honestly so much information.
Got a little hard copy.
Yeah, there's all kinds of visuals and stuff like that where they explain the world. So they go through hex tech, and it gets deep. So yeah, pretty crazy, huh?
Hold on, bro.
Yeah, man.
Y'all ain't see that.
About to be an expert out here. About to be a whole expert.
Y'all ain't seeing this, but hold on.
But yeah, man, we'll talk more about all this stuff later when we get some part way into the video. So.
And if it's your first time here, welcome. And if you've already been seeing our videos and checking us out, thank you for being here and checking us out once again. All those views and all those subscriptions means a whole lot to us. So thank you once again.
And all that good information y'all giving us too. Make sure y'all keep tapping in and let us know what's going on. If it's something we don't know, you want us to react to it or see it, just tap in.
As we're diving in this, we're getting pretty close, especially once I go through these books and stuff. Pretty soon we'll be giving you guys information and plugging you guys on a bunch of things you might not know because we're reading through different areas of the League Legend universe. And
we tapping in.
So yeah, make sure to subscribe if you guys want to continue this journey with us.
The two most popular questions I get asked are: is the lore of League of Legends good? To which I say that we have a lore channel with over 500 videos now. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't like the story. And I want to read the story, but I don't know where to start. And that is a very hard question to answer, because quite frankly, you can start anywhere you want. All of Riot's stories are written in a way where no matter what story you read, all of the information you need to understand it is somehow put in there. For example, if you are interested in Ionia, you can read about any champion in any order you want. But some characters talk about certain events more than others. Some champions like Riven or Master Yi explain the Noxian chemical warfare, but they still at least mention the main battle at the Placidium. Other champions like Irelia or Karma explain the main battle at the Placidium, but they only hint at the chemical warfare. So basically, all the stories contain all the information you need, so you are never left confused. But I understand that simply telling you that you can read whatever you want is not a good answer. After all, League of Legends does have its main storyline. Despite there being more than 145 champions, all with their own unique stories, there is an overarching plotline that serves as the real story above all the others. And today, we will talk about exactly that. It wasn't an easy task, but I managed to put together the complete story of the main events that affected the universe of League of Legends. The way I did it was simple. I read a lot. All the information you're about to hear can be found in various stories and champion bios. But just like you have item descriptions or journal logs in other games, League is also hiding tiny pieces of information in places you wouldn't expect. You can actually get a lot of new hidden information by cross-referencing different champion stories. The way it works is that you usually have two champions from the other side of the world pointing at different mysteries. But when you realize that they are actually pointing at the same thing, you discover something massive. So with all of that said, keep in mind that the story of Runeterra can still get expanded upon. So in the future, some of the things we mentioned here may be already explained and things might be slightly different. In fact, I would say that about 15% of this video is sourced from those tiny pieces of information. However, what I'm about to show you right now is still the closest thing we can get to covering the entire storyline of League of Legends. But enough about unnecessary explanations. Finally, without further ado, let's get into the main storyline of League of Legends.
Let's go.
Let's start at the very, very beginning. In the ages before time was even a concept, there was nothing. Or at least that's what the things inside the nothing thought. You see, since the beginning of time, there were always the Watchers. They are these nightmarish shapeless creatures that drifted in the absolute darkness of the universe. The thing is that the universe was so dark and empty, the Watchers themselves didn't even know they existed. There was nothing to see and nothing to feel. There was nothing to show them that they actually lived. But that all changed when a tiny spark of light appeared in the empty cosmos. Suddenly the Watchers realized they could see. Not only that, they realized that they are conscious beings with senses. Just like that, the spark of light woke up the Watchers from their eternal sleep. Naturally, the Watchers were quite annoyed at the tiny spark. Up until now, everything was peaceful and quiet. But this spark was blinding them, and it was ruining their slumber. When they drifted closer to inspect the light, the Watchers found out that the tiny spark was in fact a window into reality. Inside the reality, dragons of twilight, cosmic beings, and even death itself came to be, and they roamed around the empty space. Some, like Aurelion Sol, spread light around. They left little pieces of themselves behind, which created stars. And with a little help from cosmic dust, planets formed around these stars. The absolute majority of these newborn worlds were empty, but sometimes there was life. The one planet that we know about is Runeterra. Now, Runeterra wasn't shaped by accident. The Celestials created this world with the use of the world runes, hence the name Runeterra. But while that was happening, the Watchers observed it all from afar. It didn't take long before the celestial beings became aware of them. They knew that something was overlooking their realm, and they knew it was more powerful than anything in their reality. Now, don't take this information for granted. Technically, it should be considered a theory, but it is believed that the Celestials created Runeterra to host an army of powerful beings that would defend reality against the Watchers. This was never directly confirmed, but as you'll see from the rest of the story, that is highly likely what happened here. Anyway, the planet was created and the Celestials were paying close attention to its development. This is likely the time when Ornn, Anivia, Volibear and the Seal Sister appeared on Runeterra. It is theorized that the Celestials put them there to terraform the planet. The only thing that we get confirmed is that according to his legend, Ornn did actually shape the mountains of Freljord. However, after a mysterious disaster, the world runes that created this world were lost and scattered across the same planet. This is likely the reason why Runeterra is a magical world full of spirits. It is likely because the world runes slowly radiated magic into the surrounding lands. Millennia passed and life started blooming on Runeterra. First, it was Yordles, Animals and the Vastaya Shirei who started appearing on the ocean floor. But humans later joined them when they started covering the surface. This was very important to the Celestials. As mortals began emerging, the Celestials started fiddling with their lives. In fact, according to the Celestials, they had some kind of grand design for the mortals. The story specifically avoids telling us what the design was, but at least we know that living beings had a purpose. The evolution of life wasn't an accident. To strengthen the relationship between the Celestials and the mortals of Runeterra, the Celestials did two things. First, they created star constellations. These were images that served as messages to guide mortals to their intended purpose. It was an easy way to communicate with them. And second, the Celestials created Mount Targon. An interesting fact is that the mountain was literally ripped from the ground. It is as if someone pinched the earth and pulled it up. That's why it is much steeper than any other mountain. Also, you may notice that a lot of the mountain surface is covered in ice. Partially, it is because it is really cold up there. But it's also because as the mountain was being pulled up, it was also dragging lakes and rivers with it. So a lot of the ice is vertically frozen lakes stuck to the mountain. In the end, Mount Targon was a pretty successful invention. It served as a beacon of godly light and magic that attracted beings from all over the world. The more...
Okay. Pause right here, because unlike the previous video where he talks about the realms, they kind of had different sections for each different realm, and this is just him non-stop, no breathing, just continuously going through it. Yeah. So I'm just gonna pick random points to kind of stop it so we can interject and throw notes in there, because it's, you know, there's not even really a space to really speak or say too much because you'll kind of miss something. So
I'm retaining a lot of knowledge right here.
Exactly. I'm just like retaining, just all just in and on the paper. So if you guys have any
between
between you guys, if you guys have any times you guys want to stop the video or anything, just let me know. Also,
I got
I'll
you.
just pause it. We can go from there.
I got
What
you.
were you gonna say?
Nah, it's just so straightforward for sure. Trying to keep up, I would say that. Trying to write down my thoughts, but then also learning about something new right afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. But
Exactly.
it's a lot of information I'm not trying to miss out on, so I'm trying to kind of piece it together in my brain at the same time.
Yeah, and I think we have previous information from the other videos and all the other cinematics and all the shows and everything now. So I think we all can like write a good amount, and then when we have these talks, we can kind of debate and compare notes and stuff like that. Because I feel like in the last one we didn't do that as much because it was just so much to learn. So this time, no, I'm gonna be writing a lot more.
This mountain reminds me of that one reaction we did when we saw the goat, the flying goat.
Yeah, this is the same celestial.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
so
gonna
that
say it's
dragon's
some of
one-
the information in here is I kind of heard it from the last one too.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure this goes into celestial realm, and that's where we see
Yeah.
that where she took the.
It's just hard to decipher. A lot of this is great information. A lot of stuff like I got some knowledge on, more knowledge on.
Yeah.
And just trying to find which one's more important to put down if I didn't know already.
Yeah, right. That is the crazy part. Definitely, I got to visit that website because now that they visually kind of showed how everything's broken down, I didn't know the website went in that depth, like that level of depth, where you can see every piece of media and everything from that. Because I went through this graphic novel, and this talks about Ash and then her war mother and like how the powers passed down and how she got her white hair and all that good stuff. So, but it felt like it was a very small chunk. Like it's not even really a graphic novel. It's almost just more of a comic. You know what I mean? Like a maybe 60 page, 2 comics put together. Or something
It does
like
say
that.
Marvel on it.
Yeah, but I said it's not a graphic novel.
Oh,
it's a comic, as in it's shorter. Graphic novel is like 120 pages, you know, or more, and this is like 60 to 90 or something like that. It does say Marvel on it. Fuck you, man.
100,
Hey, I'm just saying.
160 champions.
Yeah, 160 champions. Okay, the Watchers remind me of the Watchers from Marvel. I'm not gonna lie, like, they're way different because they just seem like they're creatures out there, but the way they kind of watch from space. I mean, they're literally called Watchers also, but they just watch from space and kind of terraform the world and stuff like that. It reminds me of Watchers from Marvel.
Yeah, but these watchers in here don't like what's going on and what they're seeing, so they're trying to like get rid of what it sounds like. Unlike the watchers in
I thought they said
Marvel,
they were just spectating.
No, they said they're literally in there, and those other cosmic beings and astral people made Runeterra so they can fight the watchers.
Against the Watchers, yeah.
Oh,
So-
I see. Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
it's-
Oh, yeah, I see. I'm
yeah.
mixing the two together.
Yeah.
Because the Watchers came
Watchers
from the
literally-
dark place, and then they were like, "You're just over there."
It's
something.
all
Yeah,
lies.
yeah.
The dark and the
I'm
light.
thinking on
Yeah.
the Celestials.
They
which
stepped
are-
into
yeah,
reality.
Celestials, yeah, are staying by, but the watchers
Yeah,
are the things.
because there's
that
also
actually-
Celestials in Marvel. I
Yeah.
misworded that, but yeah, Celestials here and Celestials there are kind of similar.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of cool and to see that where the actual celestial beings are like, oh, we can't fight these, but we're gonna make these people and this whole planet to fight these.
And they shape
Watchers.
and they
Like,
shaping
what?
it. They shaping it in a way. That's
Yeah. That makes okay. The way you're saying it too, and this is the nice part about us comparing notes and stuff too, because there's so much that's coming that fast that I didn't even think about the depth of that. Yeah, they're creating all these people so that way they can try to combat. Okay, that's crazy. Oh, sorry. This is the last thing too. They talk about there being multiple worlds that were created. Runeterra is just the only world that we're focused on. And there's been so many talks in the comments between different people, like, you know, now I understand where some people are saying like, oh, this is the only world we know about. Some people are saying there are no other worlds, but it's just no other worlds that have been introduced into the lore or that we have dove into yet. So yeah, there's possibilities are endless. I get it.
I'm ready to say that in the world though.
Not me. It's too much.
It's too much already.
much.
Advanced
Yeah.
mortals even formed their own civilization around its peak, which gave them a deeper connection with the celestial realm. And after some time, few of the most trusted individuals were elevated by the Celestials, specifically by the Celestial aspects, creating the very first ascended beings. But the Celestials weren't the only ones who were strengthening their control over the life on Runeterra. The Watchers were doing the same. They were carefully poking holes into reality, gathering any information about what the reality is, and more specifically, how can they get rid of it. The Celestials noticed these holes in realities that we know as void rifts, and they quickly moved to the next stage of controlling Runeterra. Now it was about this time when Aurelion Sol flew by and he noticed how much the life on Runeterra bloomed. And when he got closer, he noticed that all the tiny mortals looked up at him, and they worshipped him. Now this Aurelion didn't mind at all, and he often came back to visit Runeterra between his journeys into the dark. At one point, the mortal community up on the mountain, who were now known as the Targonians, offered Aurelion Sol a crown. Aurelion of course appreciated the gesture of gratitude, and he happily put it on. But as he did that, he willingly chained himself to the planet, because the crown bound Aurelion to the will of the ascended Targonians. Aurelion Sol was now enslaved. We don't really know if it was just the Targonians who did this on their own, or if it was a plan of the celestial beings to enslave Aurelion Sol. But either way, the reason why Aurelion Sol was enslaved was because he was powerful enough to seal the Void Rifts. He was an effective weapon against the Grand Enemy. Aurelion had a massive ego and he couldn't care less about the lives of mortals. So that's why he had to be forced to properly help the reality. At this point, the Watchers were at their limits. They wanted to learn more about Runeterra, but they were massive, and the rifts were tiny. The Watchers simply couldn't fit through. But it didn't take them too long to figure out that all they needed to do was to reach a mortal being and control it. If they corrupted something and sent it out, they could use it as a spy. So the way the Watchers gathered more information more effectively was by sending out horribly morphed beings to devour other beings and gather their information. The reason why information is so important to the Watchers is because they could easily use it as a weapon against Runeterra. The more they learn about how living beings are constructed and what living beings are the strongest, the more powerful voidborn creatures they can create and release through the rifts. But the Watchers realize that deconstructing and recreating beings is not the only way to win this war. Up in Freljord, they were playing a different game. They managed to slowly corrupt the mind of an individual that almost doomed the entire planet. Of course, we're talking about Lissandra.
Oh, yeah.
Lissandra was one of the 3 sisters that ruled Freljord, the second most powerful region at that time, right after Targon. The 3 sisters were Lissandra, Sorilda, and Avarosa. And all of them were drawn to celestial magic. Sorilda wanted to command the celestial heavens, but for her arrogance, she lost her voice to the first twilight. Avarosa witnessed the twisting dark overlooking the world, and she was deafened by its complete emptiness. And Lissandra disrespected the wild magic of Runeterra, and as her punishment she was blinded by Volibear. Together, one blind, one deaf and one mute, the 3 sisters ruled Freljord. Since she was blind, Lissandra had to rely on her hearing and delving into dreams. This meant that over time her hearing was so good she could hear what others could not, voices that echoed through the fabric of reality. Unfortunately, what she didn't know is that it was the Watchers who slowly corrupted her. Years passed and Lissandra now fully trusted the Watchers, but she didn't dare tell her sisters about them. In secret, Lissandra even struck a deal with the Watchers. The Watchers would give her people near immortality. This power of immortality is what created the Iceborn, who are basically Freljordians touched by the power of the Void. And in return, all the Watchers wanted was a safe place to rest when they visit their world. To Lissandra, this was an offering she couldn't decline, and so she accepted the terms on her sister's behalf. More years later, when the Freljord was ready for the Watchers, without a warning, they started emerging from the abyss, revealing Lissandra's hidden allegiance. Unfortunately, their horrible twisted forms were not what Lissandra expected, and she realized the grave mistake she had made. She invited the end itself to their world. At this point, Lissandra had 2 options. Let the world be consumed, or sacrifice everything she had ever had. And so, using her Iceborn powers, Lissandra managed to freeze everything and everyone who was present, killing Sorilda and Avarosa in the process. This is how a couple of Watchers got frozen in the Howling Abyss, while the rest escaped. After this defeat, the Watchers retreated, but not without new information. Many decades later, on the other side of the world, the war against the Void took another turn. Even though Dargon had Aurelion's...
Okay. Damn, so she got both of her sisters killed, essentially? For not giving them... not sharing information. Lissandra, that was the blonde one. The main sister. That was...
See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, and I'm like, damn, that's deep.
That's deep.
Aurelia? Is that the... There's Avarosa, Lissandra, and is the other one Aurelia?
I think so.
Try to write it down.
Sound about right to me.
They didn't really talk about Aurelia or Avarosa as much. Maybe they'll get more into that, but maybe because they're dead, you know.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
She had to make a sacrifice though. That was the sad part. But
yeah.
And it's crazy that we have the Watchers trapped. And we can see them.
Some of the Watchers.
But I'm just like some of them like you can.
Those are the ones that are under the ice, right?
Yeah.
I see. Oh, okay.
That's
we heard that before, and I didn't. Now it's like all full circle. Now I understand the scope of how important they are trapped underneath that ice.
Like I heard that word floating around, and like it just all makes sense now. You feel me? Watchers. It's kind of crazy to me that they're out in this realm just they gotta be invited to go, or they open up portals and stuff, where they just throw demons out there. Once they collect information, they send out even stronger motherfuckers to fight these champions. So it's like almost like it's a constant upgrade.
Yeah,
Constant invasion.
So they're gonna have to constantly upgrade as well. That shit crazy.
Yeah.
That
That's
shit
deep.
crazy.
And I mean, it kind of makes sense because civilization's constantly upgrading. But it's like, you know, you get the shows like Arcane, and they're not even talking about that or thinking
They
about.
don't even know about it.
Yeah, they don't even know anything about it. They just,
The world is fucked around you, buddy.
Yeah. They're over there. Piltover and Zahn are fighting between each other, and there's just like all these other places that are just like, yeah, this shit about to be crazy. Yeah. And this just keeps building up. I'm glad that we keep watching these videos, because now if we go into watching Arcane Season 2 and something epic happens, we don't have to like leave and go research it. You know, like in Marvel movies,
Yeah.
I'm usually the guy that's sitting there that my friend's like, hey, who the fuck is this guy that just popped up? That's great. You know, I'm like, oh, you mean Omega Red? You mean that? You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice to kind of be getting ahead a little bit. I'm sure you guys have watched thousands of videos by this time. This shit's been out for so many years. So I'm sure you guys understand this exact feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just got one more thing to say. I never would have thought it got to this point, but looking at Arcane, their problems are not that bad, bro.
I know.
That's what I was thinking too.
They got a lot of problems within the show, and we're there for that. But then, like, looking at all this shit, bro.
In the bigger scheme of things. But
They're
if you think
trapped.
about people, they're never thinking about the bigger scheme of things. And we're all just...
They're trapped in spiritual beings, tricking them in
I know.
with, hey, you like this nice little crown? You wanna work for me, bitch? Like, close these portals. Like, that's crazy. Diabolical work, and we worried about Shimmer.
I know, Shimmer and hashtag.
But who knows? Shimmer could be another voice that somebody heard from the Watchers that
True,
they created. So
No, Shimmer's man-made to combat Hex Tech. I think they confirmed that. I'm pretty sure. I hope so. I don't know. Y'all know. But I'm pretty sure they explained that Shimmer was created to combat Hex Tech, or their
Yeah.
form of it, just from like...
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the watered down
And
version.
then Hex Tech is from the arcane crystals that they were talking about that were scattered over the world.
Not to do drugs, but you know what drug I'm talking about. You got the one, and then you got the other.
You got the other
Just
one.
like,
you got the needle, you got the
yeah.
pipe.
You got the
Don't do drugs.
Drugs, kid.
Okay. You guys ready to jump back in this?
Yeah.
Okay.
let's do it.
You on the pipe, huh? That's crazy.
on the pipeline.
Soul under their control, and they dealt with all the easily accessible rifts. Sometimes they had to deal with smaller tears in reality that couldn't be accessed by a massive celestial dragon. That's why the Celestials had to nudge mortals to start a new empire. This time, more to the east. Under the guidance of the Celestials, the new Shuriman Empire began constructing a massive disk in Nerimazeth. Using this disk, they attempted to channel celestial powers into their chosen
in
soldiers,
Shurima.
but the experiment failed and the disk was destroyed. Later, they made another attempt at this, more to the east.
Oh, okay.
This time they constructed a much bigger sun disk that would create super soldiers capable of fighting back the void. These soldiers would get many different names. God Warriors,
That's
Golden
Egypt.
Warriors, Sunborn, but we know
Yeah,
them
it
as
is.
Shuriman Ascended. Here we need to mention three very important individuals that play a big role in this war. Azir became the greatest leader of the Empire and the Grand Leader of the Ascended. He was loved by pretty much everyone, but keep in mind that he was still a human. He became Ascended much later. Nasus became the wisest of the Ascended. His knowledge of war tactics would become irreplaceable. And the third important character is Setaka. She became the war commander of the Ascended host, and she was the deadliest of all the Ascended.
cold.
As the Empire was growing and the number of their god warriors was expanding, other nations became suppressed, and some even feared the unstoppable army of Shurima. One such nation was the Kingdom of Ikathia. Their leader, the infamous Mage King, had enough of cowering before their might, so he went to war against Azir. Now the Mage King knew his small kingdom of
COVID.
mages would not stand a chance against the Ascended, so
The
he
void.
called upon a power greater than what the Sun Disk could offer. He called
They just have a
upon
big
the
huge
Void.
void right there.
During the Battle for
Okay.
Ikathia, a massive void rift consumed the kingdom,
I
and
remember
after
that
hundreds
shit.
of years of observing, the Watchers had another chance to silence all reality. Using their previously gathered knowledge, the Watchers corrupted everything they touched, and they created new voidborn abomination the world had never seen. This was a war on a scale nobody expected. But after many sacrifices, including Setaka, who died while being torn apart by these abominations, the Ascended won, but at a great cost. Not only was the rift in Ikathia so big that even today it is still not fully sealed, but most of those who survived were permanently marked by the void. Before this battle, the Watchers have never even seen a God Warrior before, so they weren't able to fully corrupt anyone. But their mark was enough to leave a tiny whispering voice in everyone's mind. Thankfully, even though their war commander Setaka was dead, Azir and Nasus remained untouched by the Void, and they kept all the Void-touched warriors under control. Of course, it didn't stay that way forever. Zerath, Azir's slave, who was also his best friend and a guide, saw him as a naive emperor. Everyone saw Azir as a kind-hearted leader, but there were still countless slaves dying under his rule. Now, secretly, Azir was planning to free all the slaves on the day of his ascension. It was meant to be a big surprise to everyone, including Zerath. But when the day arrived, Zerath became jealous of the power Azir would get. So Zerath pushed Azir from the Ascension sunlight, and he drained all the power of the Sun Disk himself. This led to Azir's death and the destruction of the capital city. But what's worse, it also left all the Void-touched Ascended without a leader to keep them under control. The only one who could do something about this was Nasus. He was wise, but more importantly, he was not touched by the Void. However, keeping so many corrupted Ascended in line was an impossible task even for him. And eventually it was so dangerous Nasus had to go into hiding. This meant that the Ascended warriors, now without a leader or purpose, and with tingling void whispers in their minds, went absolutely insane. Instead of being seen as godly beings, the Ascended slowly turned into brutal warlords. They fought each other, sometimes to gain more power, sometimes to settle their differences. Eventually, they figured out how to control the whispers in their mind, and they created a brand new kind of magic. Blood magic, which they used to reshape and improve their bodies.
Okay, I remember this.
Soon, the Ascended warriors were known as the Darkin, and this era would become known as the Great Darkin War. During these times, the entire world was in conflict, as the Darkin conquered as much land for themselves as they could. While all of this was happening, the Celestials watched it all. Their warriors were supposed to fight back the Void while fighting each other, and they were more dangerous to the mortals than the Watchers themselves. So the Celestials had to remove them. The simplest way to do so was to send the aspect of Twilight to Shurima. There she would teach mortals how to seal the Darkin inside their weapons. It took a couple of years, but in the end, the surviving Shurimans...
Dark and light anymore, right?
Nah.
Yeah, it's still like that.
now it's the Darkin
Now it's
and
the
the
Darkin.
Celestials.
Yeah, Celestials. It's all type of people up in the thing now.
Yeah, it's evolved.
Hell yeah.
The crazy part is at the end of the day, it still goes back to Dark and Light. You know?
It does.
Celestials.
He got
And
the
then the
main
Watchers.
concept.
Right.
He
Man
took the
knew
main
the
concept. I ain't even gotta break it down. Like that.
Teach
It's
mortals
lights and
how to
dots.
seal the
He's
Darkin
got that
inside their
credit for it
weapons.
now.
It took a couple of years, but in the end, the surviving Shurimans together with the Targonian aspect sealed all the remaining Darkin. And finally, the world saw peace again. For a while, anyway. If we look back at what just happened, this entire Shuriman experiment was a massive loss for the Celestials. They wanted to have an army to fight the Void, but instead they ended up with the biggest Void Rift they have ever seen. So the Celestials needed an entirely new plan. But before they could figure something out, mortals took their fate into their own hands. Possibly in the worst way imaginable.
Oh, okay.
You see, now that the Darkin were gone and the world was left in utter ruins, even the simplest man could become a king by simply scavenging whatever he could. And that's exactly what came next. The Age of Men. The first to step up was Mordekaiser. He was a brutal warlord king who easily swept across Valoran and conquered the entire continent. Only when the rest of the world united against him was his dark reign ended. Fast forward a couple of years and the world was simply at war again. But this war was unlike any other. Remember when the Celestials lost the world runes at the beginning of the story? Well, mortals began uncovering them. Random mages around the world held stones with the power to create worlds. It was pretty much the equivalent to holding a nuke. This sounds scary, but everything was fine as long as people were just threatening to fire the nukes. But once the first nuke was fired, the second followed, and then the third, and the fourth. While the Celestials were trying to come up with a new plan, mortals literally set the world on fire. This conflict became known as the Rune Wars. Sometimes Celestials managed to calm down some of the conflicts. Usually this was done with the help of the Targonian aspects, or with the help of Bard. Bard is a Celestial who specifically comes down on Runeterra to take powerful magical items away from mortals, just so they wouldn't use them in another war. The last time we saw Bard was during the battle for Bard Mountain, in Ionia, where he took away this magical
Definitely
egg.
haven't seen this.
Later Celestials even tried to create more constellations to show people more messages. But at this point, mortal minds were too primitive, and they usually thought it was signs of doom. But sometimes, even mortals helped. On the Blessed Isles, there was a cult of mages dedicated to collecting the world runes. They did it to hide them away from other mortals. But even that didn't help.
Oh, Shadow Isles.
In the end, during this era, the most powerful nations were wiped out. In the east, only Noxus remained, after they wiped out their neighbors.
Yep,
Yes,
remember that.
this circle you see here is actually a crater. There was supposed to be another nation here. And in the west, Demacia was built as a purely anti-magic nation. We know that there are a couple of nations between them. For example, the Arbormar Kingdom. But we don't know much else. This is where the modern lore of League of Legends begins. So if we have a look at the world right now, the Watchers are constantly looking for a way to invade Runeterra because they are annoyed by its existence. The north is hiding a massive void rift frozen beneath the holding abyss. The south has a massive void rift still open there, not big enough to fit a Watcher through, but big enough to spawn a void army. The western and eastern Valoran is at war, the entire Shuriman continent is mostly in ruins, and the Blessed Isles blew up. Only Ionia is somewhat decently holding it together, but Noxus had to screw them up too. Remember when I mentioned that the Celestials had mortals as a part of a bigger design? Again, the Celestials likely created mortal beings to use them all as soldiers in this galactic war. Well, whatever purpose mortals were supposed to have, it is far beyond the Celestial control now.
They look cold.
So now, you may be wondering, what
Headbutt the
happens
shit
next?
out you.
Well, the main story can go a number of ways. We can learn more about the world runes through the vault in Demacia. Or maybe the Watchers will try to get through the rift in the north. Or the Darkin will try to make a comeback and the Celestials will have to deal with them again. Riot created a playground where they can do a lot of different things. Just remember, it really doesn't matter where you begin to read. Every champion and every story makes sense on its own, so you can't get lost. If you ask me, start with the stories found on Silas's page. He's a great champion for entering the new lore. He will get you right into the newest conflict. And right after that, maybe have a look at Udyr. I think he will surprise you too. But no matter what you decide to do, just have fun and go for whatever you are interested in. The days of bad lore are gone.
He is back.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
That man's important.
Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other league facts and stories?
Is that
Did
him?
you know that we have need mugs and shirts too?
I'm about to
Links
follow
all that
you.
below.
Necrit looks a
And
lot
as
different.
always, thank you, come again.
Yeah, he's been in the game too long.
Necro.
That man been out here
Necro.
hustling and grinding for too long. Okay. Damn.
Yeah, that was a lot of
Oh, God.
information for sure.
That was beautiful.
That was a lot of information, but that was dope.
It was
That was
good,
just
though.
like the starting point of like now we can understand the history and go from there. That was a great video. Shout out to you, Necro. You're doing great things out here.
Yeah,
you're
doing a
doing
great
good things
job.
for the community. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
For the
Hell yeah.
the Celestials low key kind of like make you be bad a little bit. It's like they let their badass kids out. They let them do whatever. I know they're collecting information to help fight against the Watchers, but it's just funny to me because like they're also learning and making mistakes as they go.
Exactly.
But it's like low key kind of like traumatic. Like it's like super big and shit like that.
Just like parents.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Parents
Yeah,
that have
let their
kids and do a
badass
bunch
kids
of, you know.
lost the ruins. Where are the ruins? Oh, fuck them. We don't need them. Boom, 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 boom. Like that's crazy.
You can't help that their own, the people at that time, their own beings, people are like kind of betraying them and kind of having like an ego kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Fight
So
over
they're
terrorists.
messing up their own selves.
Territory
The guy's
and
jealous
shit.
of his brother, so she tries to take the whole entire power of the disc, which corrupts and gets broken, and the whole society is just
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Then you get the three sisters, that the one that's listening to the Watchers that
Right.
helps them
I hear
like
sister.
come there, and then like,
Right.
oh, I messed up.
Keeping
so now,
all the secrets.
yeah.
a little
and
too
gets her
late,
sister's
man.
kid.
But she ended up getting the Watchers and
So it can't
over
even-
there. That shit.
So it can't even be the actual the beings up above that can take actually all the blame or like feel bad. Or
For
whatnot,
sure.
Yeah.
because it's
Definitely
at
a
the
tier
end of-
system.
yeah, it's definitely the bottom food chain people that's making these mistakes.
Yeah, and of course they don't even know nothing. You
But
guys
that-
aren't telling them any information, so
Yeah.
of course they're gonna do a bunch of random.
But at that, it's making them the people there like evolve.
Yeah.
Like now they're finding these stones, even though they nuked themselves. They're still evolving. They're now kind of creating all these places and
They are following the
kingdoms and
constellations and
whole
shit.
entire libraries that the past that's happened that they're keeping and storing, and they're
Yeah.
they're growing.
Oh yeah, kind of Arcane too. They're revealing like the past, like it's hint. Like you could feel like they're revealing something bigger behind the scenes, but it's like you just don't know what it is. We focus on the show a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like now,
Our
like,
minds
I'm
are
like,
not trained to
yeah,
even
it's probably like
understand any of
hidden
that.
like Easter bunnies. You know what I'm saying? Easter eggs is in that motherfucker.
I just can't believe those the mountain ascendant people that live on the mountains trapped that dragon.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, it was crazy.
He showed them,
Lissandra?
Yeah, he showed
no,
them.
not Lissandra. The people at
Celestial.
the celestial
yeah.
mountain where the
Yeah.
dude, the celestial, came down
Mhm.
every so often.
Yeah.
They just tricked him into staying, trapped him.
But it's
That was
not
crazy.
It's almost like they had to.
Right, the fix and trap and get rid of the voids that were opening up there.
Oh, so
That's why they trapped him.
One more thing. Let's get this clear. So, the pain to the Watcher's existence, that little beam of light, it was Runeterra the whole time.
It was just a
Like
spark
they
of
stepped
life
it.
that just happened. It wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily Runeterra itself.
It's
It was just like the
and all
universe.
planets. It's like the Big Bang
Yeah,
birth
okay.
of existence, I guess.
And then he got tired of Runeterra. That shit was crazy.
That's crazy. I
Like,
couldn't
they
be a
got
watcher.
tired of Runeterra.
They just walking around in darkness until they see a light, and it's like, oh.
Well, they were just sleeping. They weren't even
Yeah.
walking around. They literally just sleep, and then someone
Like
basically
nothing. It was nothing.
Yeah, and then some basically turned on the light, and they're like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Honestly, yeah.
That's pretty much.
Dude, we gotta get this out
That's
here.
crazy.
It's your next door neighbors, and when you have a party, and they're like, "Yo, bro, we're trying to sleep." It's one of those.
It's 6 o'clock in the
what time
morning.
it is?
I'm yacked up and I'm hungry.
So, question, y'all: the mage in Arcane, is that the dude running around collecting the scrolls? If not, who is that mage in Arcane? Does anyone know? I'm sure you guys have like your theories and stuff like that. I would love to hear your guys' theories, or just fucking the answers of who that mage was that saved. You know what I'm talking about? The mage that
Yeah.
saved Jason in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Teleport, because he had one of the stones. You
What
know
if-
what I mean?
What if they have like an actual? There's different people in different like kingdoms and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What if they all work together? They have the knowledge and stuff like that, and they're all dying off. So it's like a few of them, and he was a part of it. He has the knowledge and stuff, but it's a different person.
The scroll guy?
Yeah, the scroll
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Because it's probably like multiple, or is it just one?
Just
scroll
one
guy?
dude, I think.
For real?
I'm pretty sure that dude looks
Whoa.
exactly the same. And there's a cinematic with I think is it I don't know. I remember someone had pointed that one out specifically and was like, "Hey, watch this one. You know, you'll get a lot of information." So I think the next one we're gonna do, the next short or video we're gonna do, are the video game trailers. But I think as soon as we do that, we'll probably jump in more to cinematics. Maybe do the season trailers, just because I know those have some important cinematics in them. But maybe we'll just go into champion teasers. Yeah, because I know there's a Call of Power. I think that's one. Rise Call of Power.
Yes,
So yeah. A lot of things that we need to get into,
Yeah.
y'all. Like I said, you guys comment, let us know what you guys want to watch. You guys share and all this good stuff, and keep these videos booming, and we will deliver. Also, talked about this before. The Ash graphic novel, that graphic novel. But we also have our own custom stuff. Entropia, Tales of Ramona, Fantasy. We have our whole own universe. We have like multiple different planets, and they're all connected by this intergalactic space force. Intergalactic space force is supposed to keep the world separate, but this intergalactic world, goddamn, fucking my head.
Sorry.
Distracting me from don't touch things, huh? Don't touch things. Secrets. Intergalactic Space Force is supposed to keep all the worlds separate and stop fantasy characters from escaping over in this world and that world, and sci-fi characters going to Earth and killing people. But occasionally you get dragons and things that escape over, and then the government has to try to stop it, and the Space Force has to try to stop it. And it gets crazy. It gets crazy. So if you guys want to check this out, it's on Amazon, and you guys are the first people to see the brand new issue number 2, volume number 2. This literally just came in the mail like 20 minutes ago, so you literally the first people to see it. The team hasn't even seen this yet.
No.
Yeah, and it just
was
dives
hiding that
deep.
from me, man.
Yeah, man. Sorry, man. But yeah, man, it's a cool book. It goes into some cool things.
Look at the graphics,
I
man.
know.
Come
This
on.
book is crazy. Yeah, check that out.
It almost give you like a newspaper print. Come on, stop playing. You see it? You see the
Anyway,
work.
yeah, if you guys want to see that, it is on Amazon right now. You can order it, get shipped directly to you. Or if you want right now, we have a special on globalcomics.com. You can go and read the first issues of Entropia, as well as Omega Ghost, which is a hero from our superhero world, as well as Isogenesis, as well as Spirit Walker and Alpha Mode, a bunch of comics. You can go check it out at Global Comics and give me your guys' opinion. If you guys come back and comment down below, I'd really appreciate that. That'd be really dope.
Do it.
Yeah, man.
No.
If you want.
Also, yeah, a lot of comments, man. It's helping
Yeah.
with the growth. We
Mm-hmm.
love it, man.
Comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell.
That's all I got, y'all. Until next time,
Peace.
Later.
Peace.